Hola, boa noite for me, boa tarde for you. Hey, 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 Feliz Quinta-feira. It is Thursday, and as you can tell by our lighting, it is a Blaxit Global After Dark. Now, granted, I didn't put like my other lights out, but I don't want to put y'all to sleep. It is Thursday. I am so excited for a lot of reasons. One, because of tonight's topic, but next Thursday is the Blaxit Global 5-year anniversary yacht party. So I have been in the trenches putting the finishing touches for what is going to be an amazing event, a celebration, not just of me and Blaxit Global, but of you. Those of you who will be there, those of you who will be there in spirit, those of you who have listened to the podcast, who have supported me, the show, the group, everything through these years, and have made your journeys abroad, and those of you who are in the process. I probably should have started by announcing who I am. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chrishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global and the host of the Blaxit Global podcast. We're coming back for season 8 in January, and I'm super excited. And then next Friday, we have Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow, the co-founders, co-creators of Exodus Summit, which I hope you attended last weekend. Monumental. I've been seeing all the posts, the chatter. They knocked it out of the park. I was not surprised. And so the ladies will be here celebrating in Lisbon. So we have, between the two events, over 100 people making the trek from as far as Kenya. Oh, yes, Bailey girl's on my lap because she likes Showtime. Hi, Bailey girl. You facing me. You want to talk to them? Yes, I know. Colombia, the United States, of course, and everywhere in between. And so I'm really excited to see everyone, familiar faces, new faces, all of the things in between. It's really been a journey. And I know y'all are excited for a little Blaxit Global After Dark today. What else? What other news can I share? I think those are all the big things because like October started with so much stuff. And so not that things are, slowing down because like I said, next week is the party week. Oh, that's right. Since next Thursday, we'll be yachting. I will not be live because by the time we get off the yacht, it will be 8 p.m. our time, which is what it is right now. So there's a slim chance that I will go live from the yacht. A slim chance I will go live from the yacht. But who knows, right? It could be like the other day. Some of y'all saw my impromptu live. I went to my first football game here in Portugal because, we can't call it soccer. Football game. And it was Portugal versus Ireland. I was right behind the goal. Got to see clear view. Cristiano Ronaldo. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And as I was messaging, funny story, as I was messaging, my son and people, let them know that I was at the game. And they were doing their warm-up kicks and stuff. And it was literally my first football game. And I look up, hit send, and I look up, and the ball is coming to my face. And it whizzes past I can see the lettering. It's like, it comes right behind me. And thankfully, because the stadium hadn't filled yet, people were still filing in. So the row behind me, the seats were empty and it wedged right in there. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like that would have been a rough start to my first game, having my nose potentially broken by a football player kicking a ball right in my face. But it taught me, right? When you're behind the goal, eyes up, eyes up. But it was so much fun. Oh my gosh, Portugal won. Ireland, I will say the game was super interesting because the goal didn't happen until like the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. But I will say Ireland played awesome defense. And I didn't check because I know Portugal played Hungary on Tuesday. I did not check the stats. I just remembered. But those were the two games that we're playing because those were qualifying games for the World Cup. And if you're a football fan, you know that Portugal, I believe it's Portugal, Spain, and another country are co-hosting the World Cup in 2030. So now I'm officially a football fan. I feel so like entrenched. All right, enough of that. Let me say hello to y'all in the chat. Hey, 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 the Howard Worldview. Hey, 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 boy, noise friends. Kay Renee's in the house. Show about nothing. Hey, hey. Hello, Jay Hardy. Action BJ. Yes, in the house. Hey, Jess. Hey, hey, hey. How are you? Hello, Ann. Hello, Ifri. Sheila. Ooh, yes, in Milan. That is where I want to go. I need to go. I need to go and see Thea, but I'll put it on my 2026 list. I miss Italy. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. I can't wait to see you. Yes, I can't wait to see you. I'm glad you're going to be at both events. Patricia, hey, hey, hey. Hey, Double T in the place to be. Greta, a channel member, hello. Hey, Teresa. Yes, I know. See, it has been too long. You just need to just move here. Like, let's just do this, right? The luxury bucket list is in the house. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, yes. Am I moderating? Yes, man. Wait. Oh, that was for that was for Victor. I don't know. He hasn't offered his moderation services. No, no, no. My son, at one point towards the end, I would say the middle of high school, he did start to play rugby. But outside of that, no, 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 no. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. Oh, Malaya one. Hey, hey, hey. And not before forgotten. How are you? Hey, hey, hey. Yes, I know it's afternoon for y'all. And like I said, when it's Blaxit Global After Dark, I got to put on the lighting. It's just. So yeah, that was it for the announcements. And like I said, won't be live next week, but tune in because who knows? It might be something impromptu from the app. So tonight I'm excited because we have a special guest. And some of our Nomad Noir ladies had the opportunity to hang out with my special guest during their stay here in Portugal. The last of the ladies, just left on Tuesday. She stayed an extra few days. Oh, that's right. I did have one more announcement. Nomad Noir 2026 fall cohort is sold out. Nomad Noir Spring 2026 has one more spot. So, if you are thinking about moving to Portugal and you want to take part in Nomad Noir, there's one spot left. Now, you can always get on the waiting list because sometimes it happens. Actually, it's happened a few times over the cohorts where somebody drops out, another person comes in. So just let me know. But yes, that is great news. And I'm looking forward to welcoming the next cohorts here in Portugal. So yes, our Nomad Noir ladies were able to partake in the amazing, delectable delights of my next guest and enjoy some wine and all the things because, you got to do a little something, something like that. You can't just always, be scouting. You got to have some fun too. And so I'm excited to have her back on the channel and to talk about a spicy topic for both of us, dating abroad over 50. So without further ado, my girl, Bridget Jones.
Girl, hey. I cannot tell you, I've been looking forward to this all day. An
Woo!
opportunity for us to chat and cut up.
Oh my goodness, when we were together, what was it, last week? I mean, look, the
Yeah.
days just blur together. And I asked you, you were like, yeah. I was like, oh yes, 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 yes. What? It is
You asked
about
me that after
time.
you had already gave me a glass of wine.
Oh yes, we have to have vino for these conversations. It goes without saying.
Very good.
So, for those of you who don't know Bridget, Bridget has been on the channel before. She lives in Portugal
Mhm.
and is a chef extraordinaire. Bridget, tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, okay. So my name is Bridget Jones. Most people here in Porto know me as Southern Gal in Portugal. I've been living here for about 2.5 years. Love my life here. It has exceeded every imagination that I could have ever dreamed for myself. I did not see myself here in this space as far as a chef here, and and the success that has came along with that, but I'm so grateful. And my last, I don't think you and I have talked about this, but
Mm.
I feel like I've checked off a lot of things in my life, but that last checklist for me was finding love.
Mm.
Literally, that was like, my first 2 years were trying to get established with my business. And I
Mhm.
literally had made this declaration back in January, like, this is a year that I want to be intentional about finding love. Because sometimes
Mm.
we will say that, but we're not, girl. We out here just running these streets and playing with people, playing and talking and talking and playing.
Facts.
But it wasn't until I really got intentional about that.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
really use all the tools of trying to say what I wanted instead of talking about what I didn't want. I wanted to get out of that
Mhm.
space of not being stuck in, oh, I don't want this, I don't want that, but having the
Mhm.
expectation of what I wanted to show up. So I'm so excited for this conversation because I feel like it is a culmination of that final dream that you have for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that this happened after 50, I would have thought it would have happened a lot younger when I was younger, maybe in my
Mhm.
40s after my divorce.
Mhm.
So I'm so tickled, and we will get into it, but I'm so happy. I feel like that it met me at the right time in my life for so many reasons.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. It's like what's for you doesn't miss you, and we can
Mhm.
have our own desires about timing and when we'd like things to happen, but God's timing is always on time, right? And so
Absolutely.
I was like you, I had, done things, raised kids, divorced, and thinking it should happen. Actually, it's an interview of mine coming out. The preview went out today. So I was on Charlotte Van Horn's podcast, and she was doing a preview. And the snippet she shared was the story I used to tell myself for years.
Ah.
I was walking on the beach on the Jersey Shore, and I'd see couples holding hands, and I'd say, "Oh, I wanted to travel the world." And I got divorced in 2010. So, at this point, it was 6 years, 6 summers of me telling myself the same story, walking on the beach,
Mhm.
looking tired as hell. Like, oh, oh, woe is me. One day I'll travel and I'll, meet some man or whatever. And then that one summer, finally by 2016, I was like, Chrishan, snap out of it. Why do you keep
Mhm.
putting a false condition. Like if I want to travel the world, I got my money, I got my mind, right? Like I could do it, but I put this arbitrary condition that held me for years stuck. And
Mhm.
then I literally packed my stuff off the beach, went home, and bought my plane ticket to New Zealand. And that
Ah.
ticket literally changed the course of everything. That was the decision that I made before I left New Zealand that I was going to move abroad in 2023. It was from my scouting trip there again in 2020 that I subsequently started Blaxit Global. Like that is just an example of sometimes we can be the one that's blocking our own blessings in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. It's very interesting how you had mentioned travel, that your trip to New Zealand was the catalyst for you. The catalyst for me, I separated from my husband in 2015. We divorced in 2016. But the catalyst for me in 2015, uh, I had taken this trip to see my best friend in Hawaii. It was this first trip I had ever been on by myself. It was a trip that I was supposed to have taken with my then husband, but
Mm.
he decided not to go, and felt like I had the audacity to go on this trip by myself without him, which I had the audacity. I had the
The
audacity and the
audacious.
money, and I went on that trip.
Exactly.
But what's significant. It was on that trip because I had this fear of heights. Me and my friend had hiked this mountain. I had all of
Mm.
these fears. I had a fear of heights. I was going through a terrible time in my marriage, and
Mhm.
literally, it was my friend and this other lady. We walked up this mountain, and when I got to the top and saw the views, I realized, man, a lot of these fears I'm carrying, they're not mine. They're what someone else told me what I couldn't do. You don't have the
Mhm.
balls to divorce me. You don't have the balls to do this. And it
Yeah.
was on that trip that I decided when I go home, I'm going home to clean house. I'm gonna go home. I'm going to file for divorce. Literally, I got back from that trip April, May, I put things in motion and filed for divorce during that time. That trip changed my life. And I think it's something to be said for
Mhm.
women, especially, women who are afraid to solo travel and get away. Sometimes you never know the clarity
Mhm.
that is waiting on you to just still away somewhere. So don't be afraid if you feel that nudge, to maybe travel or to go somewhere. You don't know what the universe has locked up
Mhm.
sometimes in your next big leap. And
Mhm.
it's always from that moment, it's always been this pattern of whenever I stepped out of my comfort zone and moved
Yeah.
somewhere different geographically, it's like things shift, things change, things open up. So I'm so glad that the universe placed me here because, girl, I probably would have thought that my man would have been in California. San Diego, California. San Diego was my last stop. I moved to California thinking that, oh, I might have a better chance of finding love. Girl, when I tell you plenty of folks, it was a hot. You know that day you say plenty of fish. Girl, I got on plenty of fools. And when I tell you, Chrishan, girl, listen, I get on there, sign up for the site, get scared, run off.
Yep,
Girl, I
I
had
was
a
just
lawyer.
saying.
Girl, I
I be
had a
on this for
lawyer.
hours.
Yes, I
Create a profile and
mean,
like delete.
girl, when I tell you the extreme, like I had one guy talking about that he wanted to be my cuckold. I didn't even know what that word meant. I'm on there Googling trying to find out what is a cuckold. Girl, when I found out the answer, listen, the only thing I said to him was, hell no, block. Then the next guy said he
Yeah.
wanted to grab my hand, spank me, block. I mean, it was crazy as far
Oh my
as
goodness.
it
It's
was
like, I need
crazy as
dinner
far as the
first.
character of men. But it was crazy just the quality. And I'm talking about men in our age. At that time, I was in my mid 40s, approaching
Mhm.
50. But it almost became dismal. Like, man, I mean, that you would think at a certain age that
Yeah.
people want to be more serious about dating, or you know what I mean, like have more integrity about dating, or
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
running and the games is over. But when I tell you, it's totally different over here. And we'll get into that too, as far as what the difference
Mhm.
has been. But when I tell you just a monumental shift,
Yeah.
just geographically, and
Mhm.
how relationships are treated differently, and how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's different. Like for me, I intentionally did not date for like 15 years, you know.
Ah.
And the reason for that was my kids were, oh gosh, 5 and 10 when I got divorced. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was present for them and I was doing all the things for them. And, their dad had remarried. There was just, changes in the family dynamic.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I'll be the steady, right? And I don't see it as a sacrifice because I didn't say I was celibate for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your
Right.
girl had her fun. I'm just saying, I didn't date anybody seriously.
Hmm.
Um, because in my mind, I was like, oh, you know what? By the time I move abroad, I'd be 49, I'd still be young. And then, but then when I moved, I also, and I guess maybe because I'm an introvert and I am very introspective, I kind of was like, okay, the first year is going to be a lot of change. All the things, right? Moving to another continent, new language, customs, culture, all those things. Everything's bright, everything's shiny. And I just was like, you know what? I don't know how much I'll be able to be aware of my not mine, but red flags, right? And be able to
Hmm.
see it because I might be so enamored by the rose-colored glasses of, being abroad. And so I was like, okay, the first year, I just need to get acclimated in the country. And then
Hmm.
I'll start to dip my toe. But I did periodically, like, like I said, go on a site for like 2.5 hours and it'd be like, no. Give myself a day, maybe a weekend. Um,
Hmm.
but it was pretty scary. It was pretty scary. And so I can't
Oh,
say that that's the approach I would recommend for everybody. But like for me, I knew I had that and a lot of shadow work to kind of work through in order to prepare. But so by the time I made my like you, like more intentionality behind it, I definitely put a lot of things into place, which we'll talk about later.
absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? It's funny that we both moved here at the same age. I was
Yeah.
49. I turned 50 a couple of months after I had moved here.
Wow.
And at that time I was waiting on my residency, so I didn't have time to travel out, so it's like those first 2 years were just me just trying to get acclimated, trying to get established. But girl, when I tell you the universe is perfect, because if I had been able to travel when I first hit these hit this EU soil, I know I would have been distracted. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I would have been, traveling around, dating, having fun. I would have been totally distracted. So I'm so grateful that I had the mindset to just really get myself established, get acclimated, and then really figure out what I want. And also learn the culture, because the culture of men is a different here. Learning that. I need to be educated on that. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
what some of the social norms are, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. I mean, I needed to learn that and not bring my US standard as far as how I think dating should be and what the
Mhm.
expectations is. So I'm glad I allowed myself time to do that so that I could at least know how uh I wanted to have a relationship here, to know what that looked like in the context of here. I knew one thing though, Americans need not apply. I had people, I knew that. Now, I knew that, but I had people like,
That's
"Oh,
for
are
a
you
fact
gonna date
on
an
that.
American? Or
Yeah.
are are you looking to date?" I'm like, you know what? And I have no problems with people wanting to steal people who are Americans and move abroad and want to date another American. But I feel like, I spent my over 40 something years of my life. You know what I mean? I mean, I've already been there, done that. I
Yeah.
didn't want to move to Europe and then show up and then marry somebody. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Oh
so
no, I was the
I
same
say
way.
that jokingly, but I'm so serious. Americans need to apply. I ain't trying to holler at you. If you're American, we can be friends and all that, and we can be big brother, little sister, but there ain't gonna be no dating going.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, 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 no.
No.
And I say that because I think, that give yourself the opportunity. Because I do have friends that talk about how they're afraid to date
Mm.
internationally with someone that didn't come from the States. You know what I mean? That people
Really?
are really, yeah. I met several ladies that have told me that they feel intimidated, that they
Mm.
don't feel comfortable dating internationally.
Hmm.
One of the things that Victor, who my boyfriend, we are trying to change our language and not say that we are dating interracially. We are dating interethnically. I think that that's more appropriate. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because we have different ethnicities.
Mhm.
That we are always every day. We're learning something different about each other and our culture. So, but yeah, I have really been surprised at the women that have said, oh, I don't know if I could do that, I don't know. But I'm like, if you made this trek over here, you're denying yourself the possibility of all the what ifs. You know what I mean? What if the love of your life is over here in Europe or wherever you are in the world?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't cross like 3,500 or 3,300 miles of ocean, leave my kids and my mom to hook up with another American.
Exactly, exactly,
Hey, you there for that?
exactly.
No, I wanted to broaden my horizons.
Right.
And, because I have traveled, so much over, the past couple of years, and also just who I am. Like I consider myself to be a global citizen, and
Hmm.
the conversations even that I have on the podcast with people that are in different parts of the world and understanding what it's like for them there. Like I just have this genuine curiosity about it. So I didn't have any apprehension about meeting someone from another country,
Hmm.
um, as long as it wasn't the United States.
Right, right,
but
right.
and then it's like, God forbid I meet up with somebody from the United States, and then it's like, who'd you vote for?
Oh, girl. Yes, seriously.
Because
Yeah,
that's
there
a
you go.
telling.
Mm-hmm,
That's a bit
mm-hmm,
telling. So I was like, no,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna step over that
Yeah,
landmine right there.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, and then it's also the familiar stance of people bringing their trauma. I'm like, I done lived through the whole American trauma. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And I didn't want to meet another American and then we have that shared history of trying to watch the news and with the politics and you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
needed something different. For me, I felt like not only was I dating a person, I'm also dating a culture. I needed
Yes.
that constant reminder of somebody telling you, oh, calm, slow down,
Yes.
relax. I need that in my life because I can
Mhm.
be a bit type A, you know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
needed to be enveloped or in a relationship where I'm constantly reminded to just relax, be calm, go with
Mhm.
the flow, everything. I needed that. And I
Yeah.
don't think I wouldn't have gotten that if I had someone and we had that shared history of everything that it means to be an American.
Absolutely. I remember this one because I called them meet and greets, not dates. I had this one meet and greet with an American, and I had sensed that there was some issues, but I was like, oh, when you're messaging through the app, maybe because they were in another country. And then, so I was like, okay. And I was like, I sense some depression.
Mm.
And then met in the park, and maybe 5 minutes into the conversation, I was like, oh, and they were like, oh, you know what? You might be wondering what the elephant in the room is. And I'm like, elephant in the room, we in the park. So I'm just like, oh, I knew this was a bad idea to go out on a meet and greet with America, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be open.
Hmm.
And they lay into, like, I mean, a big dump, an emotional dump, that,
Yeah.
oh, because their profile was that they were newly single or something to that effect. They were newly single. Their
Ah.
spouse had died. And then it was like
Ah.
this whole dump of, like, I was like, I knew I sensed. I was like,
Hmm.
and just all kinds of other things that came out. But I was just like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
this
No.
ain't gonna work.
No.
Sorry
No.
they
No.
lost, but this ain't gonna work.
No. Right. Right. Absolutely.
Mm-mm,
Oh,
mm-mm.
my goodness. You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I was just
You
like,
dodged a bullet.
goodbye.
Oh my
And
goodness.
scene.
Right, right. Absolutely. Exit left. Yeah,
Yes. Woo,
that's
yeah.
crazy. Now
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So let's see. We talked a little bit about dating after divorce. We talked a little bit about dating, in our 50s.
Yes, it's good.
Yes, but because we've been,
It's good.
that you have been, we're both personalities, and we spend a lot of time online in addition to running our businesses.
Hmm.
So, definitely for the ladies that are watching, follow. I love the We Do Not Care Club. I love her videos. I love that she's getting all of this exposure. I could not love it more. Um, and definitely follow her, because I know there's some other people impersonating, and as a content creator, we support the original people
Hmm.
behind it and all the effort that they put into it. And I love that there's a lot of discourse that's happening about, perimenopause and
Uh,
menopause and our bodies changing. But sometimes we think that because our bodies are changing in this new season of life, that, certain things are out of the question and off the table. People could
hmm.
say, again, these stories that we tell ourselves, oh, I'm
Hmm.
as sexy, or, nobody would be interested in me in dating or whatever, or, my body may not react or respond the same way it used
Hmm.
to, after having kids or whatever. But I'm one to say, at least from my perspective, that this is my best season. What?
Hmm.
Woo!
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Girl, I mean, to be out here in your 50s dating hard. I'm like, I'm like, we've been dating hard for 6 months. I'm like, this feel like 6 years. But out here dating hard. Now I will say this, and I'm just gonna keep it real. I would say if you are over 50, and you have gone through menopause, whether it be naturally or surgical, don't be out here in these streets trying to date if you ain't on no vaginal estrogen. I'm just gonna keep it
Ooh,
real. I'm gonna
that's
keep it real and say that, because that's when a lot of the symptoms as far as that show up. And
true.
I will have full disclosure of why I said that. I had a hysterectomy when I was 35, and
Mm,
it's like knowledge for people that know me. So I had a hysterectomy at 35, and because I was so young when I had my hysterectomy, I had to go on hormone
mm,
replacement therapy. Thank God that I did that 17 years ago. Because you really need, if you do require that and need it, and people are on is two different sides as far as what people believe. Some people are for it, some people are against it. I truly think if you are on the bioidenticals, I truly think that it is life saving on so many levels.
mm, mm,
That your hormones that you need it. So I would say, because I started so young, and even though being here, the hardest thing has been for me is getting doctors that understand the necessity and the importance of it over here in Europe. It don't
yeah.
always translate like it did in the States. In the States, you can
Mm,
see a doctor easily and get hormones. But here, I've had one doctor told me, oh, Portuguese women don't take testosterone. Or, you know what I mean? Or they didn't agree that I was on this particular hormones or
mm,
whatever like that, or I was on it for so long. But
yeah.
I would say the benefit of starting it young and me continuing it, even
Mm,
more so when I'm dating, even though I've been on them for 17 years, I would say your body still is going to be changing. You
yes.
understand what I'm saying? As you get over 50, your body's going to still be changing. I don't know if you ever listened to Dr. Rachel Rubin. She's a
No.
gynecologist
Mm,
slash urologist, but she talks a lot of her studies is on the importance for women. She thinks that all women who are going through perimenopause and menopause, everyone needs to be on vaginal estrogen, and it's not just for the sex. And if you throw some testosterone in there, girl, we have to come back to that.
I know. Let me grab my
We gotta
pen.
come back to that testosterone, yeah. Listen, girl, you thought you saw my that in there? I went, okay, but but anyway, girl, listen, you be bouncing them orgasms, be
You
bouncing your.
know, make your head pop up. Pow.
But she talks about how women who develop a lot of urinary tract infections,
Mm,
that they do it, that your not just your vaginal health, but also your urinary tract health, all of this
mm,
connected. And so she was saying that a lot of deaths happen. I didn't even know that a urinary tract infection can actually cause death. But she was saying in the geriatric community, a lot of
yeah.
the deaths attributed to urinary tract infections and all the complications that it can cause, it can
Mm,
be alleviated just by women taking vaginal estrogen.
what?
So I say, yes, yes. So really look her up, Dr. Rachel Rubin. She's on Instagram. And I
Okay.
love how she's really having the bigger conversation as to
Yeah.
say it's not so much to protect your sexual health, but you want to
Mm,
make sure that you're healthy and that you're not having prolapses as you're getting older, and that you understand what I'm saying, that you're not
mhm,
having constant urinary tract infections, and
mhm,
you're able to respond like you normally should, and all of
mhm,
that. So powerful information. And I would say that's one of the things that I make sure for myself. I'm very pro when it comes to making sure I stay on top of my health. And for me, make sure that my hormones are balanced.
yeah.
I don't want to live the latter part of my golden years. I don't want to be one of those ones that enter into those golden years thinking that I have to suffer. Because if
Yeah.
I suffer, my man gonna suffer. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's
Yeah.
important, that that's the thing that's different too, is us being in our 50s and we can openly talk about, how our bodies is changing. And girl, listen, being able to, walk around and your belly or something hanging out and you ain't trying to suck it in. It's a girl. But
Right?
feeling that liberty of like that, I don't have, you know what I mean? And somebody thinks that you are beautiful and like this is the first time that they've ever seen you. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? All
Mhm.
of that is a yeah, yeah. So I would say being in this space and being with someone and you both are taking care of yourselves well. The same way
Yes.
things are important to me as far as my health. We're having that conversation now. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? As someone that's in their 50s as well, about how we're individually taking care of our health and sitting down in
Mhm.
the morning having breakfast and taking your supplements together.
Yes. And I
It's
think, look,
all
we're in
beautiful.
this together. We're in this together. It's a partnership.
Right. Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
Like I had because you had your hysterectomy at you said 35,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I had my partial what was it, 2018? 2018, I think it was.
Ah.
Yeah, 2018. And so they kept, took the box, kept the
Mm-hmm.
ovaries. And
Mm-hmm.
in 2022, I had an oophorectomy because one of them decided they were going to twist itself in a knot.
I
So,
had the same thing to happen.
really,
You know what? This is very interesting. And I did not know this because when I had
mhm,
my hysterectomy, I kept both of my ovaries. And the doctor was like, oh, you're not going to go through menopause. You're going to be fine. Within 2 months after my hysterectomy, I started having all of these menopausal symptoms. I kept going back to him. And you know what he put me on?
mm,
He didn't ask no lab work to check my hormone levels. Oh, everything is fine. You're not. He prescribed me an antidepressant, which a lot of doctors do that when they don't want to fool with your symptoms, when they don't
yeah,
want to listen to you, they want to go ahead and just put you on an antidepressant. But yeah, but it wasn't until I left the doctor who did my hysterectomy,
mm,
when he kind of wrote me off with that prescription, I said, oh, I went to another doctor, and he was the one that did the lab work and found out that my ovarian function was like Lauren, and he was the doctor that had told me, which I was not aware. He said, when
Mm,
you have a hysterectomy, he said he said in the span of 5 years, you're going to end up probably losing both of your ovaries, either to
what?
over yes, because the blood supply has been compromised,
Yeah.
and that's literally like the first one I had an ovarian cyst and
Mm,
had to take it out. The last one was an ovarian torsion where it twisted and
yeah,
you end up
that's
having
what
to have
happened.
a emergency surgery. And I was not, I had no idea that that's literally what happens. Usually, a woman, if she keeps her ovaries within 5 years, she's going to lose them, or it's going to be so compromised where they're not going to be functioning.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. I remember
Mm-hmm.
I was,
Mm-hmm.
working from home, and I started having cramps, and it should have occurred to me then, like, why am I having cramps? I don't have a uterus. But I was like, oh, it kept, and, oh, let me walk it off. I went from a
It's
walked it off,
painful.
and then that night it was just unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember,
Mm-hmm.
vomited, and then in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I knew like it was getting to be an emergent situation, and I couldn't stand up. So I
Mm-hmm.
crawled from my bathroom, into my daughter's room and woke her up. And then I called my ex-husband to come pick her up because I was like, okay, she has school in the morning. You still got the mom hat on, right? It's like, okay, she has
Mm-hmm.
school in the morning. He could pick her up. I'll figure out how to get myself to the hospital and everything like that. But having that happen, obviously another, decrease in, my estrogen. And so,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and, all these other things, weight gain and things like that. And it was like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
gosh, right? But all that is to say is I haven't yet experienced, some of the other symptoms like vaginal dryness and all that other stuff, thankfully. Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
it's good to know,
Mm-hmm.
um, about UTIs and about, these other issues, because I know there's our friends of mine that, have been dealing with, all of those issues. So I know
Mm-hmm.
the potential of it can occur.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I love, and I was actually having this conversation with my mom earlier today, is I'm so glad I made this choice to move abroad into specifically, Portugal and in Europe as a whole, because since I don't have the worry about the cost of healthcare,
Yes.
can really
Yes.
be proactive and vigilant about it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say, oh, I have to ask somebody for time off or delay
Mm-hmm.
because I have a presentation and I don't want to ask or whatever. I can just be like, hey, you know what? Like I'm noticing, oh, you know what? My sneakers feeling a little funny. Maybe I should see a podiatrist. Oh, you know what? Like yesterday, I went and got my blood work because I have to go see the endocrinologist next week. Like I am on top of those things,
Mm-hmm.
and I can have those conversations with my healthcare providers and talk to them and be, like I said, just proactive and on top of it, where I see a lot of people delay because the healthcare system is so complex unnecessarily and so expensive in the United States.
Yes, 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 that's true. And then there is this thing of like, the geriatric community, I would say as a people don't really age well in the States. You know what I mean? Being
Yeah.
here over 50, and then, a lot of us don't have cars and we have to get out there and walk. It's like certain, our lifestyle is keeping us younger, it's keeping us
Mhm.
fit, it's keeping us more flexible. You understand? So I really appreciate, and then it's less medicine here. It's more of a common sense approach to coming to taking care of yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
Whereas versus someone wanting to always write you a prescription for something, that
Yeah.
they really get down to like the nuts and bolts and the common sense thing to tell you what to do. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and unnecessary surgeries. Like it's so funny that earlier today I had just come back from physical therapy for when I moved here. I think I talked about it when I first moved. So for years, recent years, I had noticed the symmetry in my face being off in some pictures. And I was like, over time it got worse and worse. And all of it was stress, right? Like up
Ah.
here and all that stuff. So when I saw the dentist and I was like, oh, and I was like, I want to get have a slight underbite. I was like, oh, let me go have see a maxillofacial surgeon and blah, blah. And they're like, no, you need physical therapy. And so
Oh,
I was in physical therapy for a couple months, and then it started to come, like everything started to align. But
okay.
they were like, no, we're not going to cut you. Actually, when I went and had a consult in the States before I left, they were all gung ho, like, oh,
Mhm.
we can put Invisalign, we can do braces, we can have surgery, like all this other stuff. And in here, they were like, physical therapy. So I had seen my dentist a few weeks ago, and he said, okay, things are looking good, but you still have a little bit of pain here. I'm going to give you a muscle relaxer for a couple nights. And then he said, I want you to go into physical therapy again, even though everything looks good. It's just to keep things, feeling good. So I went today for a half an hour. And I don't know if anybody's ever had physical therapy on their face, but
Never heard of that.
me
This is the
neither.
first time I've ever heard of that.
On my face. So she's like in my temporal mandible jaw, my muscle in my neck, on my shoulders, in my head, in my temples, pulling my mouth open, up in my gums, in my cheeks. And I was like, what? For half an hour, like my whole like interface. And I was like, and then I looked at myself and I was like, it does wonders. But I like,
That's
especially this left side, I had a lot of pain. And so um, she was working it. And I was just like, oh my goodness. But I know for a fact, if I was in the States, it would be a whole different thing. It's like, oh, let's
mhm.
cut you open. Let's do the most expensive thing because that's how we make our money, right?
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. Wow.
I know we kind of digressed on like a diss of the healthcare system. Well, I mean, nobody's gonna call it healthcare, um, but yeah, I'm so glad that we're in this space and we're able, and there's more conversations in the discourse about menopause, perimenopause, the fact that it starts in our 30s. It can for some people, and just to be proactive about these changes.
Yes, yes. And then taking away that idea that when you, because a lot of people feel like, oh, when I get in my 50s, this is truly, honestly, it's the age where most people divorce. So to be
Mm,
able to, because of menopause, women going through menopause, men going through midlife life crisis. So to be in our midlife and to find love and to find relationship and companionship. You understand? I mean,
mhm,
it's to find everything that people say should not be happening at this time in your life. You know what I mean? Like, who want to start over in a relationship in their 50s? So what has been the pros for you of finding love later in life versus when you were younger? And finding love here, what has been, name at least two things that you would say has been the most profound for you.
okay. I know myself more, meaning I did a lot of work on myself because, I've had relationships, I've had a marriage, I've been single for a long time. And so I know that even though those relationships didn't work out, the only constant is me. And so I can't say, oh, this person was 100% at fault, right? It takes two people. And sometimes we don't want to be looking in the mirror at our own stuff. And I knew for me, I wanted to be intentional and start to, look at the things about my own self that needed attention. And then I also
Hmm.
feel like because I've done the life stages, I've had children, I've been married, I've been divorced, I've owned homes, I've, gotten myself to financial independence, and, so I wasn't looking for, oh, this person has potential, or, oh, I can have children with this person, like just trying to
Hmm.
jump the gun. It was just like, okay, I accept you as you are, right?
Hmm.
Didn't mean that I still didn't have some work to do, but I just feel more confident in my own skin as I approach this time. Um, and just, I think the other thing is that I didn't have before, and I think part of that is just being stuck in survival. Hi, Bailey.
Mm.
Uh, is embracing my femininity in a way.
Ah, yes.
I'm away from all of the things. Like I had to have all of the things, the strong black woman, right? I had to be making the multiple six figures, right? To pay for my lifestyle and the kids and the schools and all the stuff in the car, and all that stuff. And, you know, the life, working in corporate America and dealing with the shenanigans and just, being a black woman. uh,
Hmm.
and I can, peel back the layers and the onions and put down a lot of that luggage. And then just, I had to go through a period of reclaiming that part of myself. And I did that with a lot of intentionality. And I think that was what kind of changed things for me as I approached it this last time, where I've been blessed by being here with such phenomenal women and really just like, okay, the ones that, I admire that like lean into their femininity, like, okay, what is it? Right. So it's like, oh, getting my, for me, getting my sexy lingerie, my expensive perfume, spraying my pillow before I go to bed, like
Hmm.
doing all the things for myself, getting my nails done, getting my nether region sugared,
Hmm.
right? Like doing
Hmm.
all the things that make me feel comfortable and sexy in my skin, right? Getting back on Pilates. I have been, I think yeah, I have talked about it. I'm joking. Did I talk about it? Been
Hmm.
taking the GLP-1. So I have been reclaiming the parts of me that I knew were there, but it was buried underneath, a whole lot of rubble.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I love that for you. I love
Thank
that for you.
thank you. So, how did you approach this differently than you had in the past?
So I would say a couple of things. One is that for me, I had to get rid of this idea of like that I couldn't just wear my heart openly. So I was the
Mm.
first one in this relationship. I was the first one that told my partner that I loved him.
Oh, I
Now,
love that.
yes. Now, coming from somebody who, that we have a playbook, right? You don't show your hand first, and you don't tell them that you love them first, and you don't cook for them. All these things that they tell you to do on social media. Oh, don't do this. This is how you do this. And I'm like, you know what? Enough of all of that. I'm in my 50s. I want to be able to just lead with my heart open. So if I tell you I love you, that means I love you today.
At this moment.
And in this moment, what I mean? This is how I'm feeling. And so I'm learning how to stand in the moments and just bare
Mhm.
my heart and say whatever I need to say, have all the conversations that I need to say. So with my partner, when we had first met, I like laid it when I laid all my cards on the tables within that first 2 days. And it wasn't a list of like, I don't want this, this, this. This was my expectation. So he knew how I felt about marriage. This is everything. And
Mhm.
so anyway, so on our next date, his words to me was he said that I don't run away too easily.
Ooh.
So in
Let me
other words,
tell
he
you,
felt
he
like
can
I
be
was
on that man stuff, and it is sex.
baby,
I'm just saying.
seriously. And he was like, I don't run away too easily. So in other words, he's like, everything that you just said, I understand it, I respect it. And
Mhm.
and he literally told me, he said, and because I am here, you're not asking for too much. It is a realistic
Mhm.
expectation. You understand? So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I had to be like, it's like that we have this shared common knowledge as far as where we want to go
Mhm.
individually and how we see relationships. Like, I think our first date, we talked about how we felt about that we wanted to be in an exclusive relationship. At that time, we didn't know it was going to be with each other. But we
Yeah.
had that conversation along the lines of this right here is important to me. I want to be in a long-term relationship. I want to be exclusive.
Oh.
We didn't shy away from all the, you know what I mean? Like, oh well, we got to date a few people and
Mhm.
all this. So yeah, so it was refreshing to know I could lay all of my cards on the table.
Mhm.
And then I would say another thing of it is allowing myself to experience tenderness from
Yes.
someone who is always trying to fix things and get this done. It's like there's a level of tenderness, and I don't know if it's just the European culture when it comes to men. It's the
Mhm.
politeness in like, may I? I mean, he'll
Yeah.
ask me, "May I do this?" or "May I come to the room?" I mean, it's all everything is with a level of respect and
Mhm.
permission and tenderness,
Mhm. Yes.
and so me allowing myself to feel tenderness and just to bask in it instead of saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I can experience it for a little bit, but I gotta put my big girl panties on. I gotta be tough, and I can't, and I can't." You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying, girl? Listen, I am a complete baby. I allow myself to be a complete baby.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you tell me to rest, oh no, 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 relax, rest. I will do that. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna
Mhm.
do, and it's sexy too, girl. I'm gonna do what I'm told.
Yeah. Ooh,
Do
talk
what
about
I'm
it.
told. And it's from the
I
standpoint of just being able to
ooh,
just don't be
yes,
strong, relax, be calm.
yes.
I will take care of that. I'll fix you a coffee. I'll fix you some. I mean,
Mhm.
I love that. You understand? Instead of me saying,
Yes.
"Oh, no, 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 that I can do it. I'm
Yeah.
learning how to be like, okay, thank you. Thank you. So
Mhm.
I'm learning how to be polite. You understand?
Yeah. I need to
I'm learning
receive.
how to say thank you, and I really appreciate that. I'm
Mhm.
learning that, and I'll be honest, that was one of the things I had to relearn.
Mm.
You understand? That's one
Mhm.
of the things I had to relearn how to do that.
Yeah.
And so being able to be soft, everyone talks about soft life. Soft life to
Yeah.
me is not just money, but it's just
Mhm.
allowing yourself to be tender, allowing for your heart to be tender again, and allowing for it
Yes.
to be hopeful and to be open and to be loving and to don't have no fear of like, how long is this going to last and where are
Mhm.
we going from here? Just enjoying what you have. You
Mhm.
understand? Respecting what you have, enjoying what you have, and just allowing the whole experience of being, just being educated in another way to have a relationship. I would have to
Absolutely.
say this is the most, and I can't predict the future, but I
Mhm.
would say that this is the most rewarding relationship. And when I say from the standpoint of quality of a relationship, you
Mhm.
understand? Um, and so I'm really proud that I at least gave myself the opportunity to feel that. I feel like
Mhm.
if I had left and not overcome my blocks, it could have very well been there, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have felt it. You
Yeah.
understand? Feeling
Mhm.
love deeply. I think you feel it deeply in your 50s when you've
Mhm.
been through your stuff and worked through your stuff and
Yeah.
you appreciate things more. You appreciate people showing up and doing what they say more. You
Yeah.
understand? Or being intentional. You
Consistency.
really appreciate that more.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Intentionality, commitment, feeling protected. That's one of the
Yeah.
that I cherish most is, feeling protected, the thoughtfulness. Um,
Mhm.
like you said, just being able to, relax into it and be soft, uh,
Yes.
and vulnerable. I'm still working on my vulnerability.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's a work in progress.
Mm.
But it's a beautiful season of life, and I'm grateful, definitely grateful, and to be wooed, right? To be wooed,
Yes.
inspired in such a way, and not in a way that is because I feel like I've encountered all of them along the way, right? the narcissist, the love bombers, the disinterested, all of the game playing.
Mhm.
But I say that like desired in a way that it's like I see you,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
who I project you to be, um, is something that I value and appreciate.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And the partnership, like this is I think the first time that I feel like, oh, like we're a team. Like it's a
Mhm.
team. This is my teammate. Like this isn't
That's
my
true.
and
Yes.
definitely it was that way in my marriage where I felt like I didn't have a teammate, I had an adversary.
Mhm.
And so I was like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, I have a teammate, right? Like,
Yes. Oh, girl, and just what that does for your parasympathetic nervous system, like
mhm,
not being on heightened alert. You understand?
mhm,
Not even we had this conversation. We were talking about something, uh, and it's like conversations. I'm not on this heightened alert. I'm not worried about this person cheating. I'm not worried. I just don't. I don't carry the worries and the concerns that might have consumed my youth. You
mhm.
understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in a different place in life, and then when you have when you have that shame, where you have that shared idea of what you want in a relationship, it's
Mhm,
just that there are protections that are put there that you don't even have to worry about. A good example of what I'm saying, it was a movie that we were watching. I forgot the name of the movie with Samuel L. Jackson. It was this interracial couple that had moved into this neighborhood and he was trying to run them out. I can't
mm,
think of the name of the movie. It was on Netflix. And we had never, and so we were sitting there watching the movie, and he told me, he said, he said, if you were ever with me in the company of my friends or people I work with, whatever like that, he said, if someone ever treated you differently or made you feel uncomfortable, please tell me. And I,
mm,
I said, okay. I said, and so what would you do? I said, would you, he said, if we were ever in that situation, he said that we would leave. He said, I would
mm.
tell them, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. He said that we would leave. I said, so you wouldn't expect me just to, toughen it through it and we just stay there and we deal with it. He said, no. He said, if I feel like that you are being disrespected, they are disrespecting me. He said, we would
Yep.
leave. And
That's right.
so the fact that we had this conversation as an interracial or interethnic couple, and for us to see a movie and for him to already apply,
Mhm,
somebody who ain't even dealing with racism like we do in the
mhm,
States, for him to
mhm.
already say, if this was to happen, this is how I'm going to handle that. And I
Yeah.
didn't even have to bring up this conversation and to say, oh, well, you didn't take up for me. You didn't protect me. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
That's totally different. That I've never experienced that where someone would be proactive in how they are saying
Mhm.
that they would cover me. You
Yes,
understand? Yeah.
yes. And it allows you to feel, and for women in general, the number one thing for us is safety.
Yes.
Emotional, psychological, physical, financial, like safety, right?
Mhm.
Safety is
Mhm.
paramount. And when you know your partner is connecting the dots, being vigilant and proactive, and ensuring your safety on all levels,
Yes.
that's a
Yes.
whole different feeling. And like I said, for me, when he be on his man stuff, I'd be like, "Ooh, that is sexy,"
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. And when they
Right?
speak that language too, girl.
Yes. And my situation is, slightly nuanced because he is in Spain, and so we
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
a country, right, difference. But I was recently there, and you know, I have traveled this world in this body for many years, right? So I don't pay attention to people looking at me because people always look at me
Mhm.
because I'm a black woman, right?
Mhm.
And so, we went to the town he grew up in, the town that he lives in, and all these places. And people, I wasn't paying attention. He was like, people are looking, but not. where he lives, but in the town he was in. I was like, oh, they are? He's like, people keep looking at us. I was like, oh, they are? And he's like, yeah, you didn't see it? I was like, no, I don't be paying attention. And I was like,
Right.
does it bother you? He's like, no, not at all. He's like, let's give him something to look at. Right? So he's holding my hand, and we're going places and, driving through the vineyards with the top down. And it's just, there was not a hesitancy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It was pride and like, oh, this is the woman that I'm with. Uh,
Yes.
and so it just, like I said, made me feel at ease, made me feel
Yeah.
safe. And it was consistent with how he was before, when we went on our first date. He came to Portugal for our first date. And it but it was just like, oh, okay, right? Because when you're dating someone, you look for, especially at this age, you look for consistency.
Hmm.
Are they who they represent themselves? Is this the
Hmm.
person or is this the representative? Right?
Right, right, right.
Sometimes you can be with somebody and they can put on airs like they're one person, and then you see a whole nother side when other people aren't looking.
Hmm.
And what we want is consistency. Like,
Right, right, right.
when to be the person showing up, you know. So I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know we had some questions, and so I want to get to
Okay.
some of those. So Jess had, is it different letting the men know you're available and open to dating? Hmm.
Mm.
I don't mind starting. So one of the things that I had to overcome is I am a bit old fashioned. And so I prefer, I kept saying, like, I need to meet my person organically, like, at the supermarket or, whatever the case was, right? Like, I had a strong aversion to online dating. Nevertheless, that's where I met my partner. Um, and so, yeah, I think navigating the online thing was new for me because I hadn't had a lot of experience. Um, but I think one of the things that I had to do, and I think you alluded to it earlier too, Bridget, is like asking the questions. What are your intentions? Are you single? Does anybody else think they're with you?
That
Right.
part. That part. Seriously, especially in
You might think you're
Europe.
single, but there's somebody else. Is
In
there somebody
Europe,
else?
yes. I have heard, well, I would say that there's a little bit of, and I don't know if it's true or whatever, but I know before I moved here, I was told the European men are known for having mistresses. Like they may have a wife over here, but they have the mistresses all around the city. Mistresses.
I've
uh,
heard that.
yeah, yeah. So I had heard that, I didn't know, but I'm always trying to make sure I ask questions and see, okay, is this really true? I try to ask the source about so I can understand the culture as well. As far as letting men know you're available and open to dating, I would say the only thing I think you will find lots of people on dating sites. When I was on a dating site at one time, you will find lots of people that are open to want to date. Dating is, you'll find more people that's open to date, or what they say, friendship or whatever like that. They want to hang out, buddy, somebody to like kick it with. uh they are more open to that. The only barrier has been the whole language thing, because you might find someone you might be interested in, but if you can't communicate with them, that can change everything. And I had one Portuguese lady, she told me, she said, I know you're living here and you're learning the language, she said, but it's very important that you are dating someone that can understand English, because if you are ever in trouble, the
Mhm.
man needs to be able to understand how he needs to be able to help you. And I'm like, that was a solid advice. I did go on one day, girl. He didn't speak English, and girl, I only had been here a hot minute. I ain't know enough Portuguese to put a words together. And I was trying to, and the date went horribly wrong because he didn't, girl, he showed his European ASS. Let's just say that.
No.
He showed, and I was trying to tell him, trying to translate to tell him that he need to leave because we was at dinner. And I told the waiter to let him know that he need to leave. He kept sitting there. All thing I could think of was baboosh.
Oh my gosh. No way.
Tempo, baboosh. But that right there, girl, Chrishan, after that, I'm like, no, don't you date, number
Yeah.
one, until you apply what this lady told you. Don't date anyone one that you cannot properly, that understands English. I would say that that's the main thing that needs to be a qualifying factor living abroad. Make sure that
Hmm.
the person understands your language. Yes, you
Yeah.
need to learn the language too in this
Hmm.
new country, but it's paramount to to be with someone that understands a language,
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that. I mean, I am
understands English.
very.
Yeah.
I tell him, I am very
Yes.
appreciative that
Mm-hmm.
you are proficient in English, and I am. I have my A1, A2 Portuguese, but I am actively practicing my Spanish.
Mm.
So, but if it was like relying on my Spanish, that would not have worked. And
Mm-hmm.
I had gone on some meet and greets with some Portuguese people. And then this one Brazilian guy who spoke no English, and like
Right.
it was just like,
Right. Right. So I would say overall, the men living abroad, dating, men are not afraid to approach you. Now
yeah,
that's refreshing. This whole thing, it doesn't matter about the difference in your nationality, anything like that. If a guy likes you or interested in you, they are going to approach you, but they do it in a way that is not, what am I trying to say? It's not chauvinistic. It's very polite. It ain't gonna be no game. They ain't just walk up to you and want to whisper in your ear and buy you a drink. It's gonna be more more formal or more
mm,
diplomatic in how they approach you.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And just asked, have you ever gone to a speed dating meetup?
No, I
I've gone to
haven't.
one in the States, like, oh gosh, maybe like 12 years ago, but not since I've lived in Europe. Mm-mm, nope.
No, I haven't either.
Bridget, how did you find a doctor that understood your concerns? What's the matter, baby?
Oh, oh. So I was a part of this women's expat group that was geared towards women's health. And there was a lady in there that talked about how that she had found a doctor in Lisbon that worked with bioidentical hormones. I went through a couple of doctors here in Portugal, in Porto, and I was really disappointed. One of them was referred by this health provider network. They had referred me to see the doctor because the doctor accordingly prescribed or believed in bioidenticals. I went to see her. She was so
Mm,
upset that I was on bioidenticals that she literally put me out her office. She didn't even want to have a conversation with me to help me. So it took this other lady this lady was in her 70s and she was on hormone replacement. And she referred me to a doctor in Lisbon who I haven't seen her in person. She only deals with my hormones. But
mm,
she does all of my lab work and we meet every year and she prescribes what I need based on what my lab work is showing. And I've
mhm,
had excellent results with her. So I would say definitely if you're moving abroad, definitely plug into a good women's health group in your community because
mhm,
they've already been through a lot of the trenches of vetting doctors and knowing who's doing what and who won't do what. And you can avoid a lot of the pitfalls of being with the wrong doctor and not getting the help that you need.
mhm. Yeah, and I'd say too is like one thing. I mean, there's many things that have changed in my life since I moved abroad, but I have much more stronger friendships and relationships and built a sisterhood.
Hmm.
And and being more open. And so have those open conversations with your sister friends. That's where you're going to get those referrals. People will be
Right.
hopefully transparent about what's going on in each other's lives and can say, hey, either I'm dealing with that or I know somebody who is, and point you in the right direction.
Hmm.
So much of our lives have been spent in the United States, which is so individualistic, and you don't want to tell anybody what's going on, and so many times we suffer in silence unnecessarily.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the beauty of being in this particular chapter of my life and here is that I am more open, and I know that in doing
Yes.
so, it allowed me to be able to receive, not only the blessings of the friendships that I have, but also the blessing of the relationship I'm in.
And the knowledge that comes with, yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Let's see. I think that was it for the questions so far. The chat has been very active.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, I think I might have missed one. I think yes, just had Bailey. You're being very vocal. Are you trying to find a man? Bailey's like, what? Jumping her mouth. Normally she just goes to bed and she does blah blah blah. You try talking about finding puppy love, booby. So just wants to know how y'all meet. I guess it's for both of us. So whoever wants to go first.
What? So how did you and me and you meet?
What our
Or how did
significant
we meet our
other?
significant? How did y'all meet? I'll let you go first.
Ah, all right. Facebook dating.
Oh. So Victor and I met on a blind date at the Royal Club here in Portugal, in
Oh,
Porto.
wow.
And at that time, when I went on this date, because I had swore off, I was done dating Portuguese men. I didn't want to go on another date with a Portuguese guy because my experience at that time was that they were patriarchal and all this, and I was done. So I got ready for that date that day. I'm like, oh Lord, here go another time waster. And I told him that too. I said, I didn't really dress up. I'm like, I'm gonna meet this time waster at 8. And he, I met him at the Royal Club. We had a, we laughed and chatted and had a drink, and then he walked me home, and then said, he gave me a hug, and then he said, well, let me give you a proper hug. And he put his coat down and gave me a proper hug. The next day I was due to fly to Germany to spend
Mm.
some time with my friend. And I literally left that evening thinking like, oh, he's nice. I didn't expect for us to see each other again. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
that he was very polite. He was nice because he's very reserved and
Mm.
quiet. And I'm like, I don't know if he can have fun or whatever. I'm being honest. And then the next morning he said, safe travels, that I enjoyed our time and I would love to see you when you return. So we
Mm.
ended up having dinner, a second date that next week, and he kept kicking the can down the road. Like every day he was, oh, I would like to see you again. So he kept pushing as far as us to
Mm.
keep seeing each other. But the thing that stood out the most, it was my second year living here in Portugal, and it was May the 7th, and I was like, it's my second year anniversary here. And he literally, I had only met at that point, we'd only known each other for like 2 weeks. But
Mm.
he had came that evening and had brought me a flower and said, that you don't deserve to be alone, or, that you should have someone to celebrate with. So he literally came and just sat with me and celebrated my second year anniversary in the country. And I'm like, oh, this is the first time I actually had a Portuguese person to commemorate that with. You
Yeah.
understand? So that's how we met. He ended
Eh,
up not being the time waster that I
yes, right?
and
Kudos to that.
he ended up dispelling all of the ideas that I had about a Portuguese guy. You understand?
Mm.
I'm telling you, girl, I was done.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
really changed my whole perspective on, I had just not found the right one.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I was very jaded, even though I hadn't like dated in 15 years. I had my own, hangups and, honestly told myself a story like, oh, it's not for me and I'm content and everything. And so, yeah, we met on Facebook dating. At the time, I was in the UK and he was in Spain. So we still don't know how how that happened. But I remember the date because I had to screenshot his profile because it was all in Spanish. I was like, oh, okay, cute. And uh, I travel a lot. He travels a lot. We're both business owners. And so it took us months to have our first date,
Hmm.
3 months. And I was like, oh, I must like this man because I'm still like months later, like I'm not getting upset that we haven't met. Like I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, like you're busy, I'm in this country, you're in this country, travel calendars were what they were. And so when we finally were like, okay, we're gonna have this date, right? He drove 6 hours for our first date. And I was like, okay, right, okay. And our first date was supposed to be 2 days, and it wound up being 3.5 days. And it was like, oh, like it was just this instant ease. And maybe there was a lot of ease in it because we had all this months of communication and,
Hmm.
things like that. But there's always just been this, very, I don't know, ease and rhythm to how we communicate and a lot of similarities, even though,
Hmm.
I'm American, he's Spanish. And so
Hmm.
language
Hmm.
difference, right? I'm living in Portugal, we still have this proximity distance. But I don't know, there's just this, we both said it, it's like this ease as if we have known each other longer than we have. Um,
I'm sitting there looking at the comments. You're talking about girls, are they fine?
I like to think so.
You know what? I would say this. I have always been attracted to nerds.
Yeah.
I don't know what this thing is about a
Yeah.
nerd. So I would say Victor, he is the epitome of a nerd. And
Hmm.
I find that attractive because, girl, when I tell you he came in, he fixed my printer. I didn't even realize that my cable I had been paying for wasn't even hooked up right. He came in, girl.
Wow.
I mean, literally, like I had went to the States for my daughter's wedding, and my printer wasn't working. He talking about, I will take it home and I will fix it and I'll have it ready for you when you get back. And girl, literally, he messaging me. I think I found the culprit. This is what's wrong with it. Do you give me permission to go ahead and fix it? I'm like, yes, please.
I know.
So
I love the fact that
I
they like ask.
appreciate I
Yeah.
appreciate having a guy that's a nerd and that
Yeah.
can fix things. I find that extremely sexy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 He's a
Not
very,
tech savvy, so I'm telling you,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
This last time when I was in Spain for a week at his house, and he's got all the things, right, like very techy, the drones,
Mhm.
all. And I love it. I love it, that we could just have these conversations and, and also just the knowledge. Like I learned so much about not only about him and meeting his friends and things like that, but also
Mhm.
the culture, learning about his culture, learning about how he grew up and stuff. So yeah, just getting a window into that. And, I never thought I would be in a long distance relationship
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that's just a little bit of a nuance that I wasn't expecting. Um, but if I were to go into a long distance relationship, which I am, I'm glad it's with this person. So
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
They have brothers.
Yeah, and I, because I'm a sapiosexual, right? So being able to like, I'm attracted. Yes, physical attraction is up there, but the mental part, like,
Yes.
ooh, you get my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Yes.
it. Like
Yes.
it can
Yes.
overcome some physical things. Because look, reality is our bodies are changing, right?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and so it definitely like his mind. He's very reads a lot, and hey, we have these great conversations when we're together, and so I like that.
Mhm.
I like that a lot. Kimmy said, "Do any of these men have brothers?"
Very funny.
Nope.
No,
He does not.
no. Isn't that, yeah, yeah.
He does not. He does not. Let's see. What's the thing that made you? What was the thing that was? I I don't know. It was instantaneous, even from because like I had all the armor. So thinking back, it was we stayed on the app for a while before I was comfortable with exchanging phone numbers and things like that. And just from the beginning, it was just this level of respect um, and interest. He's very, very interesting, and that's what because we talk about being nerdy and stuff. Like, oh, he can play the guitar. He does improv. He has his own business. He just has interesting things about his personality that it was just like, oh, like he has interests in life. It's not just, you know, work or family. And there were just things that intrigued me that I wanted to know more about. And like I said,
Mhm, mhm.
conversation. And I remember when we exchanged numbers, the first thing he did was he made me a video. It was just like, this is me, this is where I work, this is what I look like, this is how I speak, and just like, like, oh, I like that.
Mhm, mhm.
And yeah, so the first meeting was in Portugal. So he drove from where he lives in Spain to Portugal for our first date. Yeah, and I was
Beautiful.
like, oh, okay. I mean,
Yes.
6 hours in a car. I guess you really want to meet me.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, and then like I said, I just was in Spain last month. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I'm trying to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. Right, they broke the ball.
Oh.
Yeah, I would like I said, for me, I am a proponent. Especially, I've had my fair share, even though, like I said, the whole dating thing was new. Um, and I talked about the things I did differently. I had talked to girlfriends who had experienced online dating and had success. I talked to my girlfriends who I admire, who like were really into their soft life and leaning into their femininity, and it was something that I knew like I needed to work on. I did a vision board because I
Mhm.
really wanted to get clear on what it is that I wanted to call into my life. And I find vision boards to be powerful. And when I've done them in the past, everything has come to fruition. And then
Mhm,
I
mhm.
realized on my phone, I had done a list and it's still on my phone. And I think I had written it before I left the States about the attributes that I wanted in a partner. And then when I looked at it again and I thought of him, I was like, oh, wow, like everything on this list. And I
Mhm,
was like,
mhm.
oh, wow. So those were the things that I did differently than how I've moved in the past when it was just like,
Mm,
go through different phases of your life.
mhm, mhm.
Um, you know, for post divorce, I didn't want to rush into a relationship because I didn't want to rebound. I really wanted to focus on my healing, my family's healing, and things like that. And I'm glad I took the time that I did because I can enjoy this season. I'm not distracted, with my kids because now they're grown and
Right, right.
they live in the States and they have their own lives. And my
Hmm.
daughter and I were very, very close, as well as my mom. And, we have our routine. I call my mom every day. I still text my daughter every night before I go to bed. And so we just have our things. And I said, ladies, I'm going to Spain. And I
Hmm. Hmm.
spend a week with him. Do not be blowing up my phone.
Right, right, right,
Do
right.
not be saying I abandoned you when I'm slow to answer. Do
But they
not.
still gonna do that, Krishan.
But I said, look, I'm
I tell
setting
you,
the
yo,
boundary. I was like, I'm having grown sexy time, okay? Don't be blowing up my phone, right? So then
you
I
know
said,
what?
you two have each other. So my daughter's calling my mom, we having fun, right? With her Spanish fun, right? And so it was funny because we had gone to northern Spain and we were up in northern Spain for 4 days, and it was so funny. Is I think one of those days was my son's birthday, and so I had messaged my son, called my son, and and then I had messaged my daughter, and she said, "Oh, I'm on the phone with Big Ma," and I said, "Oh yeah," and she said, "Yeah." She said, "You don't have any time for us because you're with your boy toy." So I told her, he was like, "Oh, I'm your boy toy now."
Right.
That's you're my boy. I
You're
was
so
like,
funny.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
So I was like, okay. And this is hilarious, right? So then I go to the States a few weeks later because of my kids' birthdays, right? So I came back from Spain and then I had to like rest for a couple days and then pack and then go to the States. So I hadn't told my son. And I said, okay, I'm gonna tell, because my son, he don't be calling me.
Right, 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 right.
He'll go months, right? So, but so I said, oh, okay. So, we spent our first, night together. My son took me out to dinner, and we had a lot of fun. And the next day, we spent the day he taking me around where he lives now and showing me his job and stuff. And we have lunch, and I said, okay, I just wanted to talk to you about something, and I'm seeing someone because in my mind, for my kids, this is a big deal because I don't talk to them about these things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He said, Ma, I already know. Big Maya and Maya ratted you out months ago. I was like, wait a second. I was
Oh.
you sitting there, blabbermouth, happy.
That's funny. But
I
I
was
know
like,
that they're extremely happy for you. And
yes,
that
yes,
is, I think at the end of the day, kids just want to see their parents happy.
yes.
So I'm glad that they get a chance to see that for you. You know what I mean? As
Mhm.
long as you're happy, then um, it's less of a worry for them. And then to
Yeah.
have someone else in your life that can look after you,
Mhm.
it's the best feeling. She talking about news travels fast.
Yes.
I tell you.
It sure was because I was like, wait a second, how did you know this already? They burst my bubble. Yeah, look, do a vision board. I have it in my room. I had,
Hmm.
very clear, and I made sure, like, especially before this most recent trip, I wanted to really get clear. And again, it goes back to talking to your girlfriends. I know Shar, who's been on the channel a few times. She is amazing at vision boards and not just the creation of it, but like helping you set the tone and
Yeah.
for it with prompts and stuff. And so
Hmm.
we had our girls' weekend and Alentejo, and then a few days later, and I was like, oh, I want to do a vision board. And she's like, I got all the stuff. I went to her apartment, was cutting up things. We were doing prompts together. And then, I did the rest on my own at home. But it just goes back to saying, like, we don't have to be on these islands by ourselves. We can lean on each other. We can share, with one another, because it just makes our journey that much easier.
Mhm.
And you don't know that there's something from your experience that can impart some wisdom or encouragement or support, and, maybe light somebody else's candle. And so that's why I think, I'm very, very grateful for you being here and talking about your love story with Victor.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I love this conversation.
yeah, and then allowing me to share a little bit about my
Yes.
special someone. So what haven't we talked about? What have we forgotten? What do we want the people to know?
Oh, well, I guess in closing, for me, I would say the biggest thing that I think we pretty much covered everything. I would say my biggest advice would be is to allow yourself to be made anew. Like,
Mm,
this whole thing about moving abroad and having a new life and a new experience. I always say I came to Europe to live a quiet and peaceful life.
mhm,
And I would say dating someone who's of a different culture and nationality,
mhm,
I kind of like see my world. Um, I see some familiar. I see some things in my world changing, and I know for me, I know I'm going to have to be comfortable with that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, uh, I know my footprint. I guess what I'm trying to say. My footprint, as far as my American footprint, and
mhm,
and the way that this shows up in my life, I see how in some kind of way it's shifting. And the more foods that we tend to eat more. He eats American food when he's around me,
mm,
and I eat a lot more Portuguese food around, that when I'm with him. So just the different ways that I know me living here, I know that my world is going to have to change, and I have to be comfortable with that. I have to be comfortable in whatever that the universe is going to morph this into. So I would say, um don't carry the stress of thinking that it has to look this way. You understand?
mhm.
For it to be comfortable, like really, and this whole thing moving abroad, just being comfortable in the uncomfortable. Because
Mhm,
even dating someone of a different nationality or culture, that is not the most. I want to. Yes, it's amazing, exciting, but it's
mhm,
also can be uncomfortable. There's so many scenarios where it's uncomfortable. It could something. A good example is uh we had a passing, and he had a death in his family, and I was there to support him. And he had all these people that were coming around and showing their condolences and everything, and they spoke Portuguese. I didn't,
mm,
I couldn't understand them. You know what I mean? They
mhm.
couldn't understand me. So it's just like, and just, but I know I needed to be there. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying? I needed to be there, and I had to be comfortable with being in a uncomfortable situation, because this is my life now. You
yeah,
understand what I'm saying? And it's
mhm,
not something that I can, if I don't plan on moving back to the States, it's not something that I can retreat to. It's almost like, so I
mm,
see in some kind of ways that my life is changing. I'm not able to hang around my friends as much. I have
mhm,
someone else important in my life. You understand? And with all that entails, you
mhm.
understand? So your circle changes.
Yes.
Now that I'm in a relationship, I want to be around other people that's in a relationship.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I want to be around other couples that are thriving and have healthy relationships, especially
Yeah.
coming from someone that is divorced and did not have a healthy marriage. For
Mhm.
me, even though I'm 50, I need to be around and see
Mhm.
healthy relationships of people
Mhm.
that's married for a long time in their 50s and 60s and they're still married, and that's what I want to be around. So I'm more conscious of that,
Ooh,
you
you hit
know.
the nail on the head with that one because for me, I didn't have the healthiest of marriages for sure, but I also did not have that modeled for me in childhood.
Yes,
And that was a huge source of trauma, right? And so
absolutely.
when I was talking about earlier, like my own stuff I had to work through being the constant in every scenario, when I approached this season differently in my relationship, I said, before I got in a relationship, I said, okay, I have this because my prototype was flawed as we all are as
Hmm.
humans. I had to look at people who I respected their relationships. And I
Hmm.
have to say, by being abroad, it has opened my perspective, opened the aperture to having, more exposure to people who had, in my opinion, healthy relationships. And, observing those dynamics, observing the characteristics of their partners that I respected and admired.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that helped me kind of reframe the template that I had in my head and then allowed me to look through it through a different lens because my lens has always been through this,
Hmm.
my father had addictions and, other things in the past. And so all that is to say is that that's why, I feel more balanced as I approach this. And I'm not saying that I don't have triggers and, all those things, but I'm more observant about them. I'll take a beat, when it comes up and, work through whatever comes up for me. And also the big
Hmm.
thing for me has also been, communication is learning to
Yeah.
open my mouth. That was something that I struggled with for a while in the beginning and finding my voice, even though I'm a podcaster and I come on here. When you get into some relational dynamics, it can be, you're being
Hmm.
vulnerable with someone you don't know and all that. But I'm enjoying the journey. I am learning a lot about, him. I'm learning a lot about the culture. Like you said, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, being
Hmm.
I'm comfortable in Portugal. I'm comfortable going to different cities. I'm comfortable ordering food, going about my life through most scenarios where I can communicate now. Not all, I don't understand everything, but for the most part, like I still do
Hmm.
some medical in English and things like that. My Spanish is really, really rusty.
Hmm.
And so being there and also the cultural difference, right? Like the cultural differences in Spain and Portugal are clear. And, I was out of my element, and not all of his friends speak English. Most of his friends speak
Hmm.
Spanish. And so they're having conversations that, not long conversation, but they're having conversations that I may not understand everything, or I can understand some things. Um,
Hmm.
and just being okay with that, right? And he was very
Yeah. Yeah.
translating things for me, and then I was like, okay, silently to myself. Well, we had our thing that I was like, I was going to work on my Spanish, but yeah, I'm committed to that because I want to have the same level of confidence there as I do here.
Hmm.
When I'm
Hmm.
moving
Hmm.
out, it's
Hmm.
like, if he's not with me and I'm going into
Yeah.
town, I'm, shopping or whatever, that I feel comfortable and I don't have to have him be my mouthpiece all the time.
Right. Right. That's
But
absolutely
I
true.
think it's not just that, but it's also a respect, right? Like he's very
Right.
comfortable in his English and, we communicate in English.
Hmm.
Um, but it would be nice for me to communicate. And I have, at times I do.
And you will get there. You will
At
get there.
times I do, I
You
give
will
him a love
get there.
and he
You
appreciates it.
today. Yes.
You know, do you find yourself at times, I know we're both still like two for you, 2.5, me 2 years. Do you find yourself trying to communicate with Victor in Portuguese?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have but I tend to do better texting. It's
Mm,
like, is that interesting? Like I can read and comprehend Portuguese more so than I can construct a sentence. So we
mm,
do have a thing. Well, like thankfully he's a very patient. So we do communicate through text. We might, we do something in English. We might start in Portuguese, or if he's telling me something, he might start speaking in Portuguese, and then the parts that I don't understand, of course I have to say it over.
mm,
So I think the full immersion, that has been a blessing. That
mm.
to be with someone, I mean, nothing like pillow talk. Fastest way to learn a language is
That's
pillow talk.
right. Talk to
I
me,
mean, the full
baby.
immersion, you know what I mean? Like really having the full immersion. And so I do appreciate that, as far as, uh the areas that I'm not. And then on the same time too, I appreciate it in the areas that he lets me try the language, and when he lets me speak the language, and he's not looking for perfection. You
Yeah,
understand? He's just
yeah.
looking for making sure, he said, it don't have to be perfect as long as you understand it. You know what I mean? As long
Mhm.
as you understand it and the person can understand what you are trying to say, it don't have to be perfect. So that
Exactly.
is a testament to just who he is as a person too. You
Mhm,
understand? It's not no pressure to be perfect. It's just,
mhm,
you just relax, and the most important thing is that you understand, and that someone
mhm.
else understands, but it don't have to be a perfect. So I
Yeah,
love that
yeah.
about this whole experience, because dating
Mhm.
over 50, it is the most imperfect experiment. The most imperfect experiment, because like I said, this is that you are relearning yourself all over again, and then compounding that on top of a move, and
Mhm.
relearning a whole new way of life all over again, compounding that, and then trying to learn somebody else. I mean, that's just compounding on top of compounding. So that's why I said it is the most imperfect experiment. But I'm so happy to be on this side of the globe. I'm
Yeah,
glad that we both are able to, like, let our shoulders down, and
yeah,
not and give ourselves permission to actually have a life. I love that for the both of us, and for anybody who might be on a
yeah.
similar journey. Yeah.
Absolutely, because I thought about it, and I thought about it more so when I was, in Spain, and we've been reflecting on our journey together, and a lot of the commonalities that we have, and it was just like, oh, you know what? If I didn't make this decision to leave the United States, like we never would have met. Like
Yeah,
there,
yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
right. I grew up in the
That's
Bronx.
true.
I moved up to Albany, moved to Jersey. I was living my
That's
life,
true.
right?
That's
He was
true.
living in Spain. He's lived, basically in the same town that he's always lived in, right? Granted, he travels, but our paths would not have crossed. And certainly had I not made the decision to go on
Hmm.
Facebook dating, and even that we were like kind of like, wait, how did that happen? Because you know our, I was when we matched, I was in the UK and on a house sit, and then he was in Spain, and then our parameters, and I was like, you know what, it was just meant to be. Right? Like we still like, what? How did this
Hmm.
happen?
I love it.
This happened, but it's like I said, had I not made that decision to leave, I would have missed out on the beauty of this chapter. Not just with him, but this chapter of my life where so many beautiful things have happened, and this is just another. I don't know. It's the cherry on top, the icing on the cake, all of the above.
Hmm.
I get to be uh, the smile. I mean, I always smile, but like the smile is bigger. The
Mhm.
smile is
I
bigger.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, he is. Yes, he.
Absolutely.
Yes, universe's timing. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So
Always
fun.
on time. So yeah, ladies, I mean, look, get your vision boards, get clear on your why, get a plane ticket, broaden your horizons, open your aperture, and you know, do the internal work and get yourself right, and embrace love in this season of life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a testament. This is a testimony. So I am so thankful. You have been so transparent and sharing, your journey with Victor and also your evolution in terms of, your life here. And I'm so grateful, like I said, that you're here and, that we always have our connection points. Oh, before I let you go, you have your splendiferous Thanksgiving feast.
Yes, I
I'm
do.
so excited about. So please tell the good
Yes.
people who may be in town because people are coming in for a variety of things, including my events. And so please share.
Yes. So every year for well, this would be the third year, I host a Thanksgiving dinner the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So it will be on November the 23rd here in Porto at the South Bento train station. There's a venue, a clock tower room that we rent out and bring in the florists, decorate the room, set the table. I do all the catering. I anticipate it's going to be 80 people again. So it's going to be crazy like it was last year, but it's such a beautiful time for friends and family from everywhere. That's what I love about it. You don't know who's gonna show up at dinner that year, but everybody shows up in one place to gather to have Thanksgiving giving dinner together, and we leave as family. So I'm so happy that you're coming again this year. The menu is going to be amazing. So if you are in the Porto area or happen to be in Portugal, and I only have 11 tickets left. So you can, I'm on Instagram as well as YouTube and Facebook. Southern Gal in Portugal is my business name. My name is Bridget Jones. So you can reach out to me through that, or if you want to email me to reserve a ticket, you can email me at info@southerngalinportugal.com.
Yes, please
Ah,
get.
Jamala, you will be there.
Yes, I got my hotel room. I'm bringing
Yes.
Bailey to be in the hotel while I get my eat on.
Yes. Yes. I'm so excited.
Yes, we have a whole crew coming, and look, I was not going to miss it. And so when I saw that you had put out that the tickets were available, I was like, "Oop, I gotta share." So up the bat signal, it is time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
committed to me
Oh,
forever. Said Bridget, your food is amazing. I can't wait to move to Portugal to get more.
thank you.
Yes, yes. Look, I'm telling you, if you come into town, you will be well fed. I'm telling you, the first year I remember I was here and I missed it. It was sold out. And I was like, no, I ain't sleeping on it. So last year I was there, I got on the bus 3 hours, ate, got back on the bus. I said, no, this time I'm gonna let my food marinate. I'm gonna get a hotel room, prepare for flight.
Right.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's going to be so much fun. Like you said, it's just fellowship, food, fun. It is a beautiful time. And I'm so grateful, like I said, for this chapter that the universe brought us together.
Yes, I truly am.
Yes, yes. I love it. So thank you, my friends. All right,
Thank
y'all. I'm going to
you.
let y'all go. I will not be back next Thursday because we will be yachting.
Yes, I will
And
be there for
celebrating.
that. I'm looking
Yes,
forward
you
to that.
will.
Yeah.
And we will be yachting. Bridget and I will be yachting with 53. It's 53 people
Oh,
on the yacht.
nice.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
53 of us on the yacht, putting the final touches onto our event. and really excited. Like I said, I may go live. I'm not going to say I won't. I may go live some particular time while we're on the yacht. But it's an opportunity to really celebrate the 5 years of Blaxit Global, the podcast, the Blaxit Global
Beautiful.
Passport. You know, some of our passport members are coming out, several of whom have moved here in recent weeks and months. You and other people have been on the YouTube channel and the podcasts and followers over the years. It's really just a milestone that I wanted to celebrate. And so I just feel like I've been called to do this in the season of life. And so I'm very grateful for everyone who's, watched, followed, like videos, subscribe, all of you who can be here in person, and those of you who are in here in spirit. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
yes,
Thank you so
and
much.
anytime. So I'll see y'all soon, friends. Ciao, ciao.